My thing is, I think a lot of these players are going to be, because look, NIL is fine. You know me, Furman. I'm the ultimate capitalist. I want people to make as much money off their labor as they possibly can. But here's what I don't think has been talked about enough. You're now talking about the combination of name, image, and likeness money with unrestricted free agency.
Yep.
And let me explain. I haven't heard anybody talking about this potentiality. But let's say that Jackson State is giving this kid $1 million to come play for them instead of Florida State. What's to stop him, depending on how the payment goes, from going for 1 year to Jackson State, taking that payment, and then going back into the transfer portal as a sophomore after he's proven that he's a pretty good college player, which seems likely at an FCS level, and then being able to potentially put his services on the market for a big FBS school? In other words, I don't think people have thought as much about the ability to double or triple dip on a seasonal basis for a lot of these top college football players. Now that you have effectively free agency in college football and you have the ability to profit as much as you possibly can, what's to stop a guy from getting 3 different fan bases paying big money for him to play for 3 or maybe even 4 different teams over the course of his career?
I mean, absolutely nothing. And I mean, I've drawn some heat because, I mean, I don't try and delve into a lot of the political realm like you. I mean, it's not an area I feel comfortable with by any stretch, but as it pertains to collegiate athletics, I'm all for these kids getting paid. The problem being is this was put together so hastily by the NCAA and the parties that be that there are no governors on this. There are no regulations. There are no restrictions. And all of a sudden you allow corporations to infiltrate college athletics on a variety of levels. And is there no vetting going on in terms of where you're going to put some of the checks and balances in, whether it's a gaming company, whether it's, a small entrepreneurial campaign? I mean, what's to stop some of the unsavory elements getting into college sports and really impacting things in a negative fashion, let alone the fact that you're now empowering, 17, 18, 19, and 20-year-old athletes, not just in college football, but on the men's and women's side that have God complexes. How is the school going to tell them that they have to attend class or they have to stay academically eligible, knowing that boosters are going to withhold money? They're going to change the dynamics and the power structures there. And I think Peter Burns of the SEC Network brought up an excellent point yesterday. Johnny Manziel, Clay, probably would have made more money to stay on campus at Texas A&M with a chance to win a second Heisman. There's no doubt in my mind that A&M boosters could have ponied up more cash than what Johnny Manziel was able to get as a first-round draft pick on his rookie contract. So while that may sound like a great thing in theory, you begin to wonder the dynamics in play. And I'll go one step further, and I think college football and maybe college basketball to a lesser extent is heading down a path in 10 to 12 years that's going to look nothing like we've grown accustomed to. And we're much closer to some of the European soccer academies and the minor league systems that you see everywhere else in the world. So buyer beware in all this. It's great to get these athletes paid, and I think they deserve a piece of the pie, knowing how much everybody is making off their labor. But for those of us that love collegiate sports under their current construct, I'm not sure they're going to look the same 10 or 15 years from now.
I think it's an interesting question, and I don't think anybody's really thought about the long-range implications of how this is going to play out. The money, again, I'm a capitalist, but combining it with unrestricted free agency, I think is going to create some unexpected outcomes and a lot of players that are going to multiple different schools and potentially signing deals. I mean, we're already seeing it a little bit, Furman. The Quinn Ewers, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Top quarterback. Yep. I might have mispronounced it, but he's top quarterback from Texas. Went to Ohio State, signed a big deal with a local car dealership, I think, in Columbus, Ohio. And then now he's gone back and committed to a school in Texas, the University of Texas. So in the space of 6 months, he's going to double dip potentially, get money out of Ohio in the Big Ten, and now come back in the Big 12, soon to be the SEC, and signing up for the University of Texas.
Yeah, it is a scary prospect to think about. And, every kid should have a chance to be able to make money. But at the same time, I mean, there's a reason we have salary caps in pro sports. And I kind of made the joke half tongue in cheek, but I really believe it. You're going to have no salary cap in college athletics. So it's a question of which programs can raise the most money to spend on players year in, year out. And it's really going to change the dynamics. And it also begs the question, which teams can get into the mix? Do you see a rise of some of these FCS programs, whether it's Jackson State, But last I checked, there are a lot of Ivy League programs who have a number of billionaires in their pipeline. And maybe we're talking about the Harvards and Yales pumping money into their athletic administration to go out there and win national championships and compete against the big boys. So I think it's going to be fascinating to watch unfold. I'm glad that I'm not responsible for protecting some of the welfare of these kids or the university as a whole. The great part about being a sports bettor, I'll assess these teams for the products they put on the field and try and make money one way or another.
Last thing I'll say too, and Furman, you probably think about this, and I certainly do in the context of my kids. The money that you make off NIL, while decent, if you are a great athlete who goes on to a pro career, is a fraction of what you will make as a legitimate professional. So I do worry a little bit that people are worried about the pennies on the dollar that they can make as 18 and 19-year-olds, and they're not thinking about the $100 bills down the road. In other words, picking the right school and coach who can develop you as an elite level talent is far more valuable to your long-range future than what you might make in the short term by going to the school or the coach or the alum or the booster who offers you the most money.
Oh, and I would agree completely there. And I think that applies not only to athletics, but anything else in life. And this isn't to offer life advice for folks that are watching or hollow platitudes that are out there. I mean, do what you love more than anything else, and it'll pay dividends. I know people look at you with your 73 castles you have now, but I don't think they see the struggles behind when you bootstrapped Outkick from the start. You left multiple writing platforms, and you put the short-term potential gains of working for someone else in the rearview mirror, knowing what that pot of gold could be like at the end. And the same thing applies to me, going, you know what? Do I want to become a casino host to make more money in the short term, knowing what I really wanted to do from the sports gambling space and seeing some opportunity that was going to manifest itself? So whether you're a chemist, whether you're a businessman, whether you're a professional athlete that may be watching here, always put your long-term goals very close to you so you can build a game plan to try and get there. Don't be penny wise to be pound foolish in the grand scheme of things.